The mainstream sports media tried to fabricate a rivalry, but the actual data tells a completely different tale. Caitlin Clark isn't just outshining Juju Watkins. She's operating on an entirely different planet. ESPN exposed again. Ratings down 22%, attendance down 30%. No Caitlin Clark effect, no dice, and Juju is a bigger baller than Caitlin Clark. They will regret that they took Caitlin Clark number one. It's not racism that's keeping everybody in Los Angeles away from Juju Watkins basketball games. You have to dominate at home, while Clark is breaking attendance records and drawing millions of eyeballs every time she steps on the court. Watkins is struggling to spark that same kind of interest. The gap between them isn't just wide, it's chasmic. Needle mover in women's basketball, college or pro, is Caitlin Clark. Yet the media keeps force-feeding us the idea that Watkins is the next big thing. But let's ask the obvious question. If that's true, why are her games half empty? Why do ratings nosedive when Clark isn't playing? The truth practically screams through the silence of those seats. Let's not sugarcoat it. Juju Watkins is not Caitlin Clark. She's not even close. And the numbers back it up. ESPN notes that the viewership for the first round was up 43% from 2023, with an average of 257,000 people watching the first 2 days. But it leaves out the record-breaking viewership from last year, where viewership averaged 469,000. In the 2024 first round, that number was boosted by a whopping 3.2 million tuning in to Caitlin Clark and Iowa's 91-65 win over Holy Cross. The difference between this year and last year represents a nearly 22% drop. ESPN is literally scared. They can't stand Caitlin Clark. Clark isn't just a breakout rookie. She's a full-blown cultural phenomenon. Her influence has single-handedly skyrocketed ticket sales for the WNBA, broken broadcast viewership records, and forced major sports networks to completely reevaluate how they cover women's basketball. Meanwhile, Watkins's momentum is entirely media-driven. The narrative is being constructed in press rooms, not by fan excitement or actual numbers. Just look at the attendance. Clark's games are packed to the rafters. Scalpers are getting thousands for her tickets. That's never happened before in women's hoops. Women's March Madness attendance drops 30%. Attendance for the opening rounds of the Women's March Madness dropped from record numbers seen the previous 2 years when Caitlin Clark spiked interest in the tournament while leading Iowa to consecutive Final Fours. What the hell happened to 2024? Where's those numbers? Why are you not talking about it? We know why, because they don't want to come out and just admit the ratings are real down without Caitlin Clark. Contrast that with Watkins' outings. Her games, rows of empty seats. The energy, minimal. The hype doesn't match the reality. Clark's WNBA debut drew over 17,000 fans, a new franchise record for the Indianafever. And that's just the regular season. Even her preseason appearances exceeded expectations in crowd turnout. Now, let's shift gears to television viewership. Clark's NCAA championship game pulled in an astronomical 18.7 million viewers, making it the most watched women's basketball game of all time. Whether you like the Indianafever or not, whether you like Caitlin Clark or not, it has gone to the point where we can no longer deny the fact that they are the biggest draw in the WNBA, and they proved that all of last season. She consistently outrates NBA games, which is unheard of. She's transcended the sport. No longer just a basketball player, but a mainstream celebrity and sports icon. And Juju? Not even in the same conversation. Her games haven't generated record-breaking viewership or sparked national watercooler talk. There's no viral buzz, no mainstream crossover, no real pull. Sold out games after game after game. She had a connection with those people that was special. She carried that connection and that fan base to the WNBA. She dominated. Oh, she's being denied something. Y'all better treat her like Caitlin Clark. So how can we treat her like Caitlin Clark? She's in a different body of water. Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp both played the card we should be talking about Juju Watkins the same way we talked about Caitlin Clark. The media's attempt to put her in the same tier as Clark is transparent and, frankly, desperate. If Watkins were truly at Clark's level, we wouldn't need this constant marketing push. The numbers would speak loud and clear. But they don't. And that says everything. They're trying to write a rivalry with no substance behind it. The comparison falls flat the moment you look at the data. Watkins doesn't bring in the crowds, doesn't light up the ratings, and isn't the household name they want her to be. Clark is a generational player. She shifts culture, commands attention, and elevates everyone around her. Watkins, she's talented, sure, but we've seen players like her before. There's nothing revolutionary happening here. So if we're going to compare them, let's do it the right way. Let's look at stats, skills, and impact side by side. And when we do that, the truth becomes painfully obvious. Juju Watkins isn't Caitlin Clark. Not now, and not ever. LA is racist. They just won't support Juju Watkins. LA, did they support Kobe Bryant? Did they support Magic Johnson? Yes, they did. The explanation is deeper than racist. Caitlin Clark isn't just a scorer. She's an offensive juggernaut. She left college basketball having shattered the entire NCAA scoring record across both men's and women's games. With over 3,900 career points and averaging nearly 32 per game in her final year, she wasn't just scoring. She was doing it with efficiency, poise, and style. Her range, absolutely ridiculous. Pulling up from 30 feet became routine. Clark's deep ball accuracy forced defenders to pick her up the moment she crossed half court, spacing the floor like no one else in the women's game ever has. She has to be so phenomenal that 10, 12, 15,000 people are coming to her games in Los Angeles. Juju Watkins is in LA. There's a lot to do in Los Angeles. She should have gone somewhere where she could be the big fish in the small pond. Who knows if she's better than Caitlin Clark? She plays a game that's more female Kobe Bryant than female Steph Curry. Caitlin Clark is female Steph Curry. Now, take a look at Juju Watkins. Yes, she's putting up points. 27 per game is a strong number on paper. But the efficiency, that's where things start falling apart. Watkins shoots just over 30% from beyond the arc, while Clark consistently floated near 40%, and that's despite taking far more contested NBA range threes. And Clark did it against the nation's toughest defenses under the brightest lights. Watkins, meanwhile, is still figuring out how to convert volume into value. High usage doesn't equal elite status if you're missing shots left and right, but scoring is just one piece of the puzzle. Clark isn't just a bucket getter, she's an elite offensive engine. She averaged over 8 assists per game in college, breaking defenses down with vision and creativity. Clark's ability to read defenders, anticipate movements, and deliver pinpoint passes turned every possession into a potential highlight. That's not something you teach, it's something you're born with. Watkins, barely over 2 assists per game. That tells the whole story. She's not creating, she's just putting up shots. Juju Watkins suffered a horrific injury. I haven't seen any Caitlin Clark fans talking negatively. I wish I could say the same for fans of Juju Watkins. Caitlin Clark did officially put out a statement on Juju Watkins. Fantastic statement. But somehow, someway, people that can't stand Caitlin Clark are now turning this into something it's not. They will find any reason to try to bring this young lady down. And that's the difference between being a scorer and being a game changer. Clark can dominate even when her shot isn't falling. Her passing, leadership, and control of tempo make her an asset regardless of the box score. Watkins, if the jumper's not dropping, she fades from the game. There's no plan B. That's not elite. It's incomplete. Let's get real. Caitlin Clark has been through the fire. She's faced more media pressure than any women's player in decades. The scrutiny, the expectations, the massive crowds. She's thrived in all of it. She wasn't just playing the game, she was carrying it. Entire arenas were filled just to see her, and she responded every single night. Watkins hasn't walked that path yet. She hasn't carried a program under national pressure. She hasn't had entire fan bases booing her while she drops 35 points and smiles on the way back to the bench. Clark's greatness wasn't given. It was earned. She built her name with performance after performance, not marketing hype or media spin. Watkins, by contrast, is being positioned as the heir apparent before earning that status. It's not entirely her fault. The media has been desperate to manufacture a rival for Clark the moment she took over the spotlight. And since they can't slow down Clark, they're trying to shift attention to someone else. Enter Juju Watkins, but here's the problem. The numbers don't lie. Clark's WNBA debut, 2.1 million viewers. Record-breaking. Her first game brought in massive ticket sales and media attention. Jerseys flying off shelves. Broadcast deals growing in value. The hype around Clark isn't artificial. It's results-driven. She earned every bit of it. Watkins. Her debut didn't spark national headlines. There were no ticket shortages, no viewing records. Just quiet applause from the same media outlets trying to force a rivalry that doesn't exist. I'm looking forward to seeing Caitlin Clark play. That are mad she's on national TV. They're gonna brutalize her again, and it's not just viewership or scoring. Clark's effect is economic. She's brought more sponsorship dollars, more media coverage, and more mainstream buzz to the WNBA than any player in the last 2 decades. She's a walking brand, and it's all been built on substance. Watkins. She's talented, sure, but if her entire profile is based on being the next Clark, that's a media creation, not a reflection of dominance. What's most telling is the tone of their support bases. Clark's fans celebrate her because of her accomplishments. They've watched her perform in must-win games, break records, and carry herself with confidence and composure. Watkins, on the other hand, often feels like a counterpoint. Her buzz is largely built by those who resent Clark's success and need an alternative. Someone to root for simply because they want Clark to lose, and that's where the comparison completely falls apart. Clark's stardom is organic. She's changed the game through play, not politics. Watkins hasn't proven herself on the same level yet. Maybe one day she will, but today, the numbers, the accolades, and the impact all point to one truth. Caitlin Clark is in a class of her own. No amount of media spin can alter that. They can try to rewrite the narrative, but the scoreboard, the ticket sales, and the viewership will always reveal the truth. Caitlin Clark didn't just raise the bar. She redefined where the bar is. And unless Watkins can prove herself on the same level, the comparison will never be more than wishful thinking. Let's be honest. Caitlin Clark is playing the game at an entirely different level, and yet somehow she's held to a higher, almost impossible standard. Every time she dominates, someone out there scrambles to discredit it. They'll say she only gets attention because of her race, ignoring the fact that she shattered nearly every scoring record in NCAA history, as if those points magically appeared on the scoreboard. Meanwhile, Juju Watkins gets showered with praise despite achieving far less on every measurable level. Ask yourself, where was all the criticism when Angel Reese taunted Clark on the biggest stage? Where was the media frenzy when Kennedy Carter body-checked her for no reason? Why weren't there think pieces written about their behavior? But let Caitlin Clark show a hint of confidence or emotion, and suddenly she's public enemy number 1. That's not sports journalism. It's hypocrisy with a megaphone. Caitlin Clark doesn't get the luxury of being called a confident young woman. She gets labeled as arrogant. She doesn't get to celebrate after a big shot without someone questioning her sportsmanship. Meanwhile, Watkins is getting labeled as the future of the sport before she's even earned it. If Juju Watkins were truly on Clark's level, she wouldn't need protection from the media. She wouldn't need the narrative hand-holding. The stats, the fans, and the results would do the talking. Juju, a Los Angeles native, is widely considered one of the best players in the country, if not the best, and was just 54 points shy of breaking Kelsey Mitchell's all-time record for most points among Division I women over her first 2 seasons. She had already outscored Caitlin Clark through 2 seasons, who holds a record for a D1 career on the women's side, as we know. But that's the issue. Watkins' impact is nowhere close, so the media has to force-feed the storyline. The hype surrounding her isn't organic, and the audience knows it. You can't manufacture authenticity. You can't fake the connection fans have with Caitlin Clark. Her presence sells out arenas. Her games break viewership records. Her name trends because people genuinely care about watching her play. That's the real difference. Juju's media momentum isn't built on merit. It's built on backlash. It's driven by the people who can't stand the fact that Clark's breaking the mold. They hype up Watkins not because she's better, but because they want someone, anyone, to compete with Clark's level of dominance. It's less about promoting Juju and more about trying to contain Caitlin. The WNBA overall. The WNBA has had several white superstars before Caitlin: Rihanna Stewart, Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird. But as great as they've been, they can't pass the ball like Caitlin can. They can't orchestrate and control games like Caitlin Clark can. But here's the reality. They can't stop Clark's rise. The fans have spoken. They've packed arenas, tuned into broadcasts, and bought the jerseys. They've chosen their superstar, and it's not the media's manufactured contender. It's the one who earned it through skill, toughness, and record-breaking performances. So yes, Juju Watkins is a talented young player, but she's being inserted into a rivalry she hasn't earned. Caitlin Clark, on the other hand, has rewritten the rules. She's not just dominating the game. She's redefining how it's covered, marketed, and consumed. And no matter how loud the media noise gets, one thing remains true. The real fans know who the face of women's basketball is, and her name is Caitlin Clark.